What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the quarantine zone again, and this time we got Rob of Cognitive. Thank you so much for your time today, man. Good to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Excited.
Yeah, it's so awesome to have you here. So, I know that you're working on some new music now. Could your last album, Mantricide, almost serve as like a clear representation on the direction that Cognitive is going into for the future?
I think Matricide set us up for showing a little bit more maturity, but I don't think it's going to show everyone what we're going to be doing on the next record completely. The couple people that got to hear the pre-pro stuff have all been I wasn't expecting this. Mm-hmm. So I think we strayed a little bit from the blueprint that I think people were expecting us to do.
Yeah, because I think what it is about Cognitive that I like is, I could appreciate everything from the Horrid Swarm EP to Deformity to, the self-titled to Mantricide, but it does seem like that there is an evolutionary process present through everything, right?
What it is I'm old now. So, as I grow, and I'm just I'm going to try this now, I'm going to try that now, and, you hear new bands, and you're like, dude, I want to do something like that, so, and I've always had to, because, like you said, if you've been listening to us from the Horrid Swarm and stuff, then, for us, it's been, we always get lumped into the slam stuff, and then half the people lump us into the tech stuff, and, we've always looked at ourselves as just a death metal band.
Yeah.
So we never tried to sit there and lump ourselves into one thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like your music is experimental enough. I mean, going from the Horrid Swarm EP, there's that single with, that narration in it, I think Falling Skies, that, is super, super eerie. But then you have songs that are incredibly on the relentless side, like Haunted Justice or Architect of Misery, that, I feel like you're able to kind of, experiment, but also maintain your brutality at the same time.
This is flattering that you even knew all this stuff, dude. You went all the way back to the demos.
Been following you for a long time.
Thank you. No, I think everyone's going to be really impressed with the new album. I'm hoping, because I get nervous. I have panic attacks about it, because there's a lot of different stuff on it. But I think we got back to some of the dirtier stuff on the record, and a little bit more cohesive. There's a little bit less why is that song on there kind of thing. Okay.
So are there maybe some gentle ballads on the new one?
Yes. There is a song that's only got one blast beat, and the rest, we've joked around and kept calling it ballad until recently when we finally got a song name. So it's actually, you're not wrong about that.
It's ballad by death metal standards.
Exactly.
Yo, they need to make a Valentine's Day death metal album, though. The fact that they haven't made that yet is...
You could do it on your piano, bud.
All right, let's collaborate.
Dude, I love your piano playing. I told you that when the first time I met you. I said, dude, your fucking piano shit's awesome.
Thank you, but I'm covering metalcore songs. They're kind of easy to do. I am learning, though, Homage for Satan by Deicides next, so it is possible.
That's going to be sick.
Now, when it comes to the making of each album, do you go into it with, a preconceived idea and how you want it to sound, or is there kind of, a lot of improvising and trial and error?
It's all improvising and trial and error, because I don't know any of my music theory. Most of the guys in my band don't know their theory, so we don't go and we're going to make it like this. It's just all right, guys, hey, I came up with this riff, and then there's this riff, and then, okay, let's get rid of that riff, and, okay, well, I like it, but the other guy in the band don't like it. Well, this is why I did it. It's a lot of back and forth, especially for this album, because the whole album was written remotely with everything going on, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely no, hey, we're going to try and go for this on this album, or let's try and do that on this album. There's none of that.
Okay. So again, we talked about it before, because, I think that when you compare everything that you've done and going from Deformity to Mantricide, it's fair to say that there is gonna be a consistent element, but there is also going to be stuff that we never heard from Cognitive before.
Right. Well, I think a big thing is, and it sucks for us, is we've had the lineup change problems, and most of it's pretty much because we tour a lot, so we had different members, different influences that come in because, we're older, we're not 17, people yo, dude, I gotta worry about paying bills because we're not that big yet, where it's paying for itself, so we definitely suffer going through the lineup change stuff, so different members, influences and stuff like that, but I think that this record is definitely just the most cohesive, listenable thing that we're going to put out.
Okay, so it has more, would you consider it more focused?
Definitely more focused. I think there's a lot more we put a lot of time into it. a lot of time, and like we were like super nitpicky about it. Like, yo, man, we got to make sure this is like good, and we were like on top of every single, just every dynamic. We were like, it's got to be right. It's got to be right. This has got to get done right. This has got to get done right.
Yeah. Well, it has to keep the songwriting process relatively interesting, right? Because, some people could argue that, it's death metal, so, everything sounds the same, and, it's got to be the same process. But, with having different members come and go, and, I'd imagine that the songwriting process has to have been excited bringing something new into the picture, right?
I was super excited about stuff. There was parts where, as a whole, we were like, this is a little nerve-wracking because we're trying this and we've never did anything like this. Or, hey, man, this crowd that we appeal to is not into that normally. So, like, it was that. There's a certain part of it that's nerve-wracking when you try new stuff. I would like to, I think of bands like Rivers of the Nile, when they put out Where Owls Know My Name, they had to have been nerve-wracked a little bit. And it paid off for them. Yeah,
and now so many bands. I've noticed that album kind of started a huge tech death evolution. Or, like, revolution. Like, think about how many, like, tech death bands have been kind of, like, really touring a lot more now since that album came out.
I think, I love them guys. They've been friends of mine for a long time, and, like, they deserve everything they're getting right now.
Yeah.
And they always have. They've been a hard-working band. And Brody's like literally one of my favorite guitar players of all time.
Oh, great guy too.
He's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, but like I feel like Rivers of Nile, Where Owls Know My Name, and Archspire's Relentless Mutation. I feel like those were like the two tech death records. I mean, like now all of a sudden I'm seeing like so many bands that combine their like inner prog with their death, and seeing bands like Wormhole and Inferi doing very well, and it's actually really cool to see.
Dude, it's funny because I just said this the other day. Like, as I've gotten older and I've started growing, like a little. It's not that I'm growing out of it, but I think I just got oversaturated with a lot of the tech deck stuff for the most part. And I cannot say enough how, like, I think Relentless Mutation was like one of the most impactful and best things to happen to tech death since Necrophagus.
Oh my God, it is so good.
It's perfect. It's a well-written record. And I can't say enough good things about it. Them dudes are hard workers too, and they do great.
Yeah, and people want to say that style of music doesn't take talent. You could transcribe that whole album on grand piano.
Right. No, them dudes are no joke. And to me, the thing that really made that record special is it is catchy.
Yep.
You don't even have to know the words, which, it's hard enough to keep up with it, but to just know how it sounds all the time at that speed and tempo. It's amazing to be able to say that they wrote something like that from a musician standpoint.
Yeah, they're super and great guys as well. They're some of the most.
They're awesome.
They're the most hilarious people I've ever met in my life.
They are funny, man. I know, like I said, dude, it's like, like in the grand scheme of things, like there's so much tech death out there where you're just like, oh, it's another, and I hate saying this, but like, oh, it's just another band that's really good at their instruments. Like, because there is a lot of that. You know what I mean? And I would never take it away from anyone that, dude, it takes time and devotion to your instrument. But to make it special like they did, like truly special, was like awe-inspiring to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to notice, you have a band with a semi-readable logo, headless guitars with no headstock on it, and with a bass that might as well just be a harp because it has so many strings.
Yeah, man. I'm so glad you brought them up because I can never sing their fucking praises enough.
But one thing I'm curious about for you is that do you find it easier to come up with new ideas for Cognitive when you're in the company of your other bandmates, or do you prefer to kind of like write alone? Isolation is the greatest.
Home alone. I like being home alone and writing that shit. And it's weird because like I'm one of the guys in the band, like I'm a huge Dillinger fan, so like sometimes there's like a lot of debate going back and forth because some of the guys don't like that. So if I write like a really noisy, off-time, abrasive riff, them guys are like, why are you writing this? Because they don't get it, you know what I mean? They don't listen to that stuff. So if I come to them with the idea presented before we all get together and they hear it in context with the song, then they like it more. Same thing with like our off-time, like Meshuggah kind of riffs. Like I'm pretty much the only Meshuggah fan in the band.
Man, what does the rest of your band listen to?
The good shit. Cryptopsy, that's all that matters.
Can't go wrong with Cryptopsy.
Like, yeah, but to me, like, I I grew up on like so much of that stuff, like Into the Moat and Candiria and stuff like that. So like that stuff always finds its way into our music.
Yeah. Well, you've toured with a lot of like different style of bands too, because like touring with other like death metal bands, you know, it's a given at this point. But you've also played with bands like Sworn Enemy, and then you go
Sworn Enemy. Well, because you know we still like hardcore, and we got to do some shows. Like we were supposed to do a small run with them, they had to cancel because their bus broke. But we did that. I mean, there was the Fit for an Autopsy.
Yep.
And we replaced Discarnate for a little while. Like that was awesome.
Did you play with Through the Eyes of the Dead too?
Yeah, we did Through the Eyes of the Dead, and then there was like Vulvoldania, and then you know, one of our first tours we ever did was with Wormed.
Wow, what a great first tour!
Dude, it was like, what? We're touring with Wormed, like.
Yeah,
and I love that band.
Well, it's funny because you know, Sworn Enemy being more in like the hardcore. I feel like Through the Eyes of the Dead has like a very big metalcore following.
It was cool with that, especially because like there was older people that probably aren't like super into looking for new music sometimes now. Because I get like that at my age. I'm like, I like what I like, but I felt like we got to play in front of kids that probably would have never checked out before.
So and then you know, playing
obviously the name of the game.
Yeah, definitely. You got to play in front of new people. That's the scariest part, but like the most essential part as well.
It was awesome playing with them guys, and it was fun. It was really fun. I mean, it was only 4 days because like them guys have lives and all. They can't really like tour.
Yeah.
So it was just awesome. Hey man, dude, do you want a couple dates special? You want to go? And I was like, fuck yeah, I want to go.
There you go. And you kind of answered it, but you had to have noticed like playing like with different styles of bands, right? Between Fit for an Autopsy, Through the Eyes of the Dead, and Vulvodynia and all that, right?
Oh yeah. And I gotta say, man, that Fit for an Autopsy dates that we did, like, because it was them, Rivers, and Lorna. It was just, and we only had maybe 30 hours notice that Discarnate wasn't going to have their visas like arriving in time for them to get there. And we flew a guy out to fill in for drums because it was so last minute, and not everyone can get off work. And every night was like huge for us.
Yeah.
And it meant a lot to me, just not only playing that tour and doing it, but like proving to everyone, like, yo, we're dedicated enough that we could pull this off on short notice.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you guys definitely were the heroes for the beginning of that tour, because that's not an easy thing to commit to so last minute, let alone play so last minute.
I don't look at it as heroes, but I looked as an opportunity to just be like, hey man, like, obviously, dude, I'm not gonna lie to anyone. Of course, it was a great opportunity for us, like for us, but like, you know, it felt good that everyone was so welcoming and just like, dude, I'm glad you guys are here. Like, this is so sick. You guys are great. Blah blah blah. And it was like really cool because there were so many people that were. It wasn't just our fans that were contacting us, but there were so many people who'd never seen us, and they were just like, I've never heard of you guys. And like, we sold a lot of merch on that run.
There you go.
A lot.
Well, that I feel like has a great crossover. And you know, it's funny because the slam death metal thing, I never understood a difference between like slam and death metal and deathcore. Like, I feel like that Fit for an Autopsy tour really kind of like had all the best of both worlds, with, you know, like Rivers of Nihil bringing some of their prog elements to the show, and then you know, you have like Lorna Shore that's just violent as fuck, and then you have Fit for an Autopsy that's with their latest album is kind of like a bridge in between. But
dude,
like
that last album, while we're on it, is one of the greatest metal records I think to come out in 10 years too.
Oh, really?
I do, because a lot of people lump them into just being a deathcore band, and like, I think it's like really well written, just metal period, and it reminds me of shit like Gojira and shit like that. I love that Fit.
Yeah, Fit for an Autopsy definitely like pushed the boundaries even further.
So that was awesome. That was a really good tour for us, and like the Vulvodynia tour, like them coming over first time from South Africa, like every night was ridiculous. So like we had a good year last year, and then obviously, you know, COVID happened, and that definitely put a wrench in the gears.
Yeah, I interviewed Vulvodynia at NAMM this year. Great guys.
Oh, Chris, you interviewed Chris.
Yep.
Oh man, what a guy.
Yep, and Dino from Fear Factory was photobombing the interview, which was hilarious.
That's awesome. Yeah, dude, them Volv guys are some of the sweetest dudes you can meet, man.
Yeah, it seems like South Africa too has been having like a really happening metal scene too.
Yeah, there's them. What's the other band? Constellation.
Who put out, I think, the best black metal album of this year.
Yeah, a lot, dude. People love that record. So I mean, there's stuff coming out of there. So you know, it's just right now it's just hard to get it heard right now, especially with no bands being able to tour.
Yeah, at the moment. But mark my words, when this is over, we will enter the best era of music of all time. I feel.
Yeah, dude, I can't. I'm sure you're dying to just get to a show too at this point.
At this point, I don't care who it is. I don't care if I'm seeing Cardi B at this point. I just need to be at a venue and, like, you know, be around people with all those smells and, you know, hearing the bass.
Oh, I miss people spilling beer on me, and man, I'm gonna go outside and you know, have a fucking smoke outside while this band's playing. Like, I miss all of it.
Yeah.
I miss all the normal stuff that comes with it, man.
You know how at the end of football games they pour like the Gatorade cooler on the coach? Well, at the end of the first concert that comes back, we all need to pour beer on each other.
I miss it, dude. Everything's so boring and like.
Yeah, we will make that happen. Or whiskey, if that's not bad for the skin.
It's all too expensive.
Well, that's why it's going to be with Jameson.
But yeah, man, I miss everything being normal.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah, as we all do, man. I can't wait for life to come back.
It's hard, dude. It's really hard right now, just as a band member, and then like for me, like managing bands or helping bands with stuff. Like, there's nothing to do.
That led me. You actually brought up a good point, because that led me into my final question. Because, you know, you also work in the industry, for some people who don't know, and, like, you know, working in the management field and working in PR and, you know, all of that stuff. Has working in the industry maybe influenced you or taught you new things on applying to cognitive, whether it was technically or, you know?
I'm always listening to stuff because I'm always like, it's a business, and I can learn from these people that have been doing it longer, and I can learn from people I'm like, I'm not going to do that because I don't agree with that. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm always paying attention and all that stuff, and I'm always looking for new friends and connections and all that stuff, because, like, I got into the business going, I want to help people. Like, if I make money off of it, cool, but I was always just like, dude, like, I know what it's like to be in a band and be on the road or looking for this, and this person's not helping you, and maybe I can do it. You know what I mean? So, like, for me, as I got more involved with stuff, I was like, oh, I can keep helping. Oh, I made another connection. I can keep helping. But I definitely applied it to my own band, but, like, as far as lately, it's hard to apply to anything.
Yeah, I feel like with a situation like this is something that nobody was prepared to do. Nobody, whether you're a booking agent, whether you're a publicist, whether you're in management, like, and even working in press, there was no way anybody could foresee this. Hence the reason nobody figured out a way to handle it. But I think in the end, we're all learning on. We all are learning together at the same time for the future.
It really just blows my mind. There's so many people out of work in the industry because of it, and you know, my heart bleeds for them people, man.
Yeah, it's fucking terrible. It really is. Like, there's got to be, like, this is why you buy merch, people. Like, honestly.
Well, it was like, for us, perfect example, when everything first started, we were like, we had like there was like $3,000 or $4,000 merch bill over there because we had 4 tours this year, including a trip to York that we had bought merch for. And we had to cancel them. And I was like, dude, we're not posting up about our merch we need to sell yet, because there's bands out there that are like 60,000 in the hole.
Yeah. I just hope people are being a little more understandable.
I think for the most part, you know, people get it. I think for the most part, people get it at this point.
Yeah, and if you don't, you're a fucking asshole. And yeah, I'm the one who said that now, just for the record.
It's just, dude, it's hard, dude. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different dynamics going on with all this stuff, but it's just like you can't control everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks. There was actually one more question I wanted to ask you, and things on a positive note. But because Cognitive originated in New Jersey, right? Or like,
right?
Yeah. And so I'm just gonna say this right now. You know, not to make an East Coast West Coast, you know, battle or anything like that. But I will say that the East Coast will always be the capital of death metal. With the Tampa, Florida bands, to Dying Fetus, to Cannibal Corpse, Suffocation, Immolation, all that stuff. Was there kind of like a scene in Jersey that you guys sort of like started in a way?
It was like Philly. Oh, well, the funny thing is, it's for like us, because we're from southern New Jersey. It was this mixed with the Philly scene, because it's like together. You know what I mean? So like, because I used to throw a lot of shows in South Jersey. So like, I was like having my own shows there, but like we grew up with like just in Jersey, it was like the Dillinger shows, the God Forbid shows, the Burnt by the Sun shows, and then, down to like Mortal Decay and stuff like that. So, I feel like our area, and then, mixing it in with the Philly scene has always been strong.
Yeah, I feel like.
So, I feel like Philly's like one of the best cities, if not the best, for music in America.
Yeah, well, the whole state of Pennsylvania looked like you had Code Orange take off from there, August Burns Red take off from there, Rivers of Nihil take off from there, so...
Black Crown, A Life Once Lost even, you know what I mean? Like, there was a lot of big bands.
Yeah.
Even to the hardcore stuff like Jesus Piece and all that, you got them bands going. And then, you got Jersey, we got E-Town, never forget that.
Oh my god, E-Town Concrete, so fucking good.
Always repping them.
Yeah, you gotta, or you will get your ass kicked, probably. It's really interesting. You've worked on every aspect of the music industry. Like, you're kind of... You ever watch the show Avatar?
No.
Oh.
No. You ready for this? You want to laugh? I don't watch TV.
Oh, okay. Neither do I. It was a show I watched from a kid, but, like, you're the master of all elements in music, it seems like.
I'm always a student, never the master. That's the way I look at it.
Okay, and, well, you never stop learning.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today. Really.
Alex, thank you. Like I told you, thank you, dude. You were so responsive, and I sent you other bands, and you were interested, and that meant a lot to me, dude.
Oh,
So,
I'm
seriously,
stoked.
thank you.
I'm stoked to talk to Ayat tomorrow. Like,
Dude, that record is really, really good.
I've been trying to figure out who works with them for a while now, because I've been wanting to talk to them for a while, so...
Dude, I appreciate it, because I think that band deserves, some attention,
Definitely.
That record was really good. I can't say enough good things about that record. I think they grew. Dude, I've known them guys for a while, and what they started as and what they grew to are two different things.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And they seem like awesome guys as well, so I'm stoked to chat with them.
Well, thank you again.
Yeah,
Seriously,
yeah.
thank you.
Just, is there anything with Cognitive you would like to promote? Obviously, is there any way that people could help you out after the Crypto Dira and Half tour got canceled?
Oh my God, dude! If I told you the tours that we had canceled, I don't even want to bring it up. I'm so miserable because one of them was one of my favorite bands. But we got the new record. We start recording in November. It should be out in April, May of next year on Unique Leader. We've got the indie merch store up, and we've got Massacre merch that's got a lot of our leftover tour stuff that you can grab stuff at, and it helps us out because we're still, climbing out of the hole from the merch bills. Because we just bought a new tour bus before this happened too.
Yeah. Well, mark my words, every tour will be packed when this is over. People want to party.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
Yeah, like, it'll be insane. And always, because I like to double check, this will be uploaded by midnight tonight, so everything is cool to plug.
Yep, thank you. Thank you very much.
Awesome. But everybody, we are here with Rob of Cognitive. New stuff coming very soon. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We will see you next time.